Welcome to Design Your Life with Sandy. If you're new here, I am your host, Sandy Yang. This is a place where we have real conversations about life, love, spirituality, personal growth, and of course, manifestation. Let's dive in. Hello, beautiful friends. Welcome back to the podcast. So, today we're talking about becoming a competent and confident energy healer. So I specifically chose the word competent because, people use the term confidence a lot, almost like way too much. In my humble opinion, confidence is a feeling, and obviously, we love feeling like our most confident self. That's great. But confidence is a feeling. It kind of fluctuates sometimes. It can really be affected by, like, I don't know, the moon, the planets, where we are in our cycle, if we are a menstruating human. And I just feel like we need to lean on our competence when the confidence is like fleeting. Competence is more important than confidence. And of course, the more competence you have, the more confident you will feel consistently overall. Okay, becoming a competent energy healer slash psychic. Just a little background. I have been an energy healer for the last 4 years. I have worked with more than 200 different people. I have done more than 1,000 hours of this work. And I am trained in the Akashic Records as well. So energy healing, obviously, when you are receiving energy healing, is more of an receiving experience where you are just completely relaxed. In general, and you of course receive messages from me and from your guides after the healing. With Akashic Records, obviously, like, energy work can still happen in doing a Akashic Records reading, but it is more so channeling of information, of guidance from your Akashic Records, from your Akashic Record keepers. So, all that to say, I have been doing this work for a while now. Unfortunately, maybe fortunately, I am not a spring chicken anymore. I say that understanding the skills I have and the gifts I have, they have a life of its own and it will continue to evolve. So there's that too. This episode is all about my tips and some stories about my journey, all about becoming a competent energy healer and psychic or intuitive, whichever term you resonate deeper with. I feel like psychic just sounds so much more intense. Intuitive sounds like softer and maybe less serious, but they mean the same thing, essentially. I've been doing this work for like the last 4 years, and in the beginning, it definitely felt like, okay, I did my training, I did my certification, and I'm following this step-by-step guide. It felt a little bit more rigid, and because I've done so much of this work, now it feels super second nature. I can be more flexible with how I facilitate a session because it's almost like I have more of the mastery and I just feel way more comfortable. This episode is perfect for anyone who is already an energy healer or psychic looking to feel more confident and competent in this craft. This is great for someone who is training to become an energy healer. Maybe you're going through your certification or recently went through it. Maybe great for someone who is thinking about getting into this field of work. Maybe you're just like, oh, I'm just feeling a pull. I'm not sure, like, if I want to make it my whole thing. This is great for you too. Take what resonates, leave the rest. And if you are someone who is curious about energy work, you're thinking about, okay, maybe I do want to get a session, but I don't know. It just feels so mysterious. This is perhaps like a cool episode for you to listen to just to hear how things are from my point of view and get to know me as an energy healer, and you can see if I am the healer for you. Okay. So now that we've got all that out of the way, let's dive in. Okay. So energy work, whether you are training in a high, you're doing Reiki, you're training at the Akashic Records or whatever else, this is sacred work. This is very powerful. You're drawn to it for a really important reason, or maybe multiple reasons. For me, it was obviously I was just like very curious and very interested. And I also at the time had someone very close to me in my family going through a big health thing. So that was also motivation for me to like master this tool to help this person. So it was a reason that was bigger than me. And that really like just like gave me the right push to go for it. Okay. So this first point is like very obvious. Learn and train with a teacher that you admire and respect, obviously. Um, I, did my trainings a while back, but I really admire my teachers. The most recent training I did was an astrology certification, and that was just like that just felt like so right for me. And it was amazing training. The teacher that I learned it from, I just love her Instagram account. I love her content. Every post just spoke to my soul. I would screenshot them, I would save them, I'll send it to friends. And when she rolled out with her astrology certification, I was like, oh my God, like this is so wonderful. I'm so in. And the journey itself was just amazing. Astrology is so liberating and so empowering. So if you learn from someone you admire and respect, that is just going to really help you see this gift as sacred and powerful and something you feel really passionate about. I feel very grateful that for the most part, the teachers and mentors I've had are just really amazing. I admire them. I love them. Um, I say this because like before I did a high energy healing training, I actually did my toes in with a Reiki level 1 training. There was a 2-day training in Reiki level 1 that was happening locally that my friend was going to, and I did not like the teacher. I did not enjoy it at all. And because I didn't like the teacher, I didn't enjoy the training, I did not want to practice. Like I just like could not for the life of me remember how to draw the Reiki symbols. And yeah, so I never practiced. So definitely recommend just doing your training with a teacher that like really inspires you. That makes a world of difference. If you haven't found the teacher yet, just set the intention that you will at the right time. You never know. Whoever your mentor is, you have a soul contract in this lifetime to like they're meant to teach you, you're meant to learn from them. And it's really interesting, speaking of astrology, because there is this woman, she's an astrologer. I love her so much. She is so wise, and her um POV on astrology is just so grounding and so refreshing and so empowering. But I wouldn't I would do a session with her and I would love my session and it will like change my life, but I wouldn't take a training from her. But my astrology teacher, I did a reading with her and I loved it so much. But I actually just knew okay, I will learn from you. 100%. So definitely know the difference when you feel the pull. Your soul will know that this person is right. So when it comes to energy healing, or like any sort of intuitive work, I want you to know that your gifts have a life of its own. I understand if you're like newer to it, it might feel like the way you are facilitating your sessions feel a little bit more rigid. It's like more by the book. Nothing wrong with that. You're doing sessions early on. It will feel like, oh, this is very rigid. I'm doing things by the book. But again, your gifts have a life of its own and it will evolve on its own timeline. And it will just happen like very naturally. The more you practice, the more you will gain mastery. So and like with your practice sessions and even like paid sessions, understand that some sessions are going to be like, oh my god, like the clients loved it, I loved it, is going to just make you feel like on top of the world, like you're doing something really powerful, which you are. But some sessions you might feel like, oh, did they like that? Maybe I could have done things differently. Not every session you're going to just feel like that was like an A plus plus plus, and that is fine. When you are channeling from the Akashic Records, when you are channeling energy healing, you have to understand you are not the one doing the healing. You are facilitating this healing. And whatever that comes through is what the person needs for their highest and greatest good. And yes, of course, you can deliver things, you can deliver guidance in a way that's like empathetic. There's a skill to delivery. I know that firsthand. So that comes with practice. And, there's something very empowering and comforting to know that you're just facilitating and the session has a life of its own. Your spirit guides are going to come through for you. Your client's spirit guides are going to come through in the session as well. And you are just delivering. You are just facilitating. So that is something really important because our ego can like really get in the way, especially when you're still building your confidence and competence. Our ego can be like just like nitpicking and questioning what is coming through the intuitive downloads, and that can be really distracting. With that being said, it's really good practice to ask your ego to sit down and be quiet. I do that in every session for every client, for sessions for myself. It is just like such a game changer. And so I think like understanding that this is such a sacred session, you are holding space for someone to meet themselves, to meet their higher self, to meet their soul self, to access their oversoul, to access their spirit team. This is sacred work, so don't undermine the work that you're doing. But like at the same time, don't put pressure on yourself. So it's about like finding the balance. Speaking of this being like very sacred work, you've decided to step onto this path for a reason, right? You feel pulled to energy work. You might feel like, oh, of course I do. And who wouldn't? Not a lot of people would. On some level, you understand like your soul has to go through so much evolution to get here to be able to handle this type of work, and you're just following the call. Speaking of guides, okay, so I sometimes use the term spirit team, spirit guides, or Akasha record keepers. To me, they are the same because I practice to me they are the same because I practice the Akasha records like all the time. Your Akasha record keepers are a team of high-level spirit guides, like high-level ascended masters, archangels, benevolent galactic beings that are contracted to support you and guide you in this lifetime. So, in a sense, they're kind of like coaches from a higher realm. and they are here to guide you and support you, and just like make sure, like just make sure that this incarnation is going accordingly to plan. Interesting. So this is like the approach. This is like the way I see it now. Since being more immersed in the Akashic Records, our soul self, our oversoul, along with our Akashic record keepers, already created a life for ourselves. They already designed, your life in this lifetime. They designed who you're going to be, what you're going to do, like all of those things. There's a divine plan. The things you desire from the heart, from the soul level, you are truly meant to have them. So if you feel called to have a business, to step into a career, there's a soul contract. So it's like if you feel called to have a business, a service-based business in this lifetime, there are other human beings who have a soul contract to work with you in your business in this lifetime. And if you're desiring a life partner in this lifetime, you incarnated with multiple people who would be highly compatible for you to be with in this lifetime. So it's like already, I don't want to say predetermined, but in a way it is. So it's like your incarnation in this lifetime is already planned, and your Akasha record keepers are here to help you live it out in the most delightful, joyful, purposeful way for your highest and greatest good. And all we have to do is get out of the way. All we have to do is to release resistance and fear and choose soul over ego, choose abundance over scarcity. You have a team of spirit guides, your Akasha record keepers are here to support you in this lifetime. So they are going to make sure that you encounter the right mentors, the soul aligned clients, the soul aligned resources for you to thrive in this lifetime, to live out your purpose, to live out your soul mission. Okay. So knowing that, your spirit guides, let's say you're doing a Akashic Records session with someone, you're facilitating energy healing for someone, they're going to show up for you. They're going to help you facilitate the session. Your client's spirit team is going to come through for them too. They've guided them to find you. So understand, you're not the only one in this. It's not all on you. This piece of understanding was very comforting and very encouraging for me as I was building my confidence and competence in the early days. And, like these days, if I have a client, sometimes I, have a client and I'm like, you're so intuitive, you're so wise, like, what do you want from me? And I'm like, what can I do for you? So I lean on that a lot, and that is something to hold on to if this is a path you are pursuing. Obviously, this goes without saying, even if is part of your soul mission and purpose to be a healer, to excel in this field of work. It's really funny. Like back in 2022, I thought I was really good at it. But compared but looking back now, it's not like I was bad at it, but it's like, oh my god, you're so much better at it now. You do things so much differently now in such an authentic way. So understand, this is a really exciting, enriching journey that continues to unfold and delight you, and your gifts are going to continue to expand. Okay, so obviously competence comes with practice, and obviously so does confidence. So you really just cannot like bypass the practice piece. Um, so not every session is going to look and feel the same, obviously. That is kind of like just a no-brainer. Not every client is going to have the same reaction. Some will be like, "Oh my god, this is life-changing." They'll like feel it profoundly in the moment in your session and they will like reflect it back to you. Some clients are going to like react less enthusiastically and you might be like, "Oh my god, did I not like it?" Um it's not that. Like if they have come into your life, again, there's a defined plan. Um they are receiving exactly what they need from you and maybe they like really appreciate it but like they feel it like 3 days down the line and they're realizing like, "Oh my god, that like really shifted something for me." So with your client's reaction, you cannot take it personally. Like you just cannot. And again, like we just talked about like how, this whole thing is not just on you. Therefore, you cannot take it personally. Divine support is all around. This is very sacred work. You're not in it alone. And don't micromanage somebody's journey. Okay. So let's talk about honoring the psychic gift that comes most naturally for you. So as you know, we have different psychic senses. There's like clairvoyance, so that is like getting visions in your mind's eye. There's clairaudience, like hearing messages, and there's like claircognizance, clairsentience, all of those things. Okay, so my strongest gift is clear cognizance. And I really did not like that in the beginning when I was like going through like psychic development training. And I just felt like it was like the least sexy one. And I will hear what my colleagues were saying, the visions they were getting, and the downloads they were like receiving from their clear audience and clear voyance gifts. And I'm like, why don't I have that? And it was like a grass is greener on the other side thing. Um and I will say, if your strongest gift is clear cognizance, that's like clear knowing, in the beginning, perhaps it is like a little more of a process to like accept and like more of a thing that takes a little bit more experience and discernment to master. Okay, so I just have to say, look, if clairvoyance is your strongest gift, then honor that. If clairsentience is your strongest gift, honor that. Yes, we can all like develop our other psychic senses. Like we all have them and we can like be like, okay, I'm going to choose to further develop my clairvoyance. Like, yes, you can do that. But why don't you just like really hone in on what is naturally strongest for you? Because you're born that way. You were given that gift. You didn't even have to earn it. Why would you try to be good at something that doesn't come super naturally for you? Okay, so definitely honor the psychic gift that comes most naturally for you. And with this work, is so much more than just like those psychic senses. It's also your point of view, how you perceive spirituality, your take on things. Obviously, we're not bringing our own biased POV into a session, but like your own unique human experiences shaped you into the healer that you are. And that is what makes you very magnetic. That is what people are drawn to you for. Okay, so someone can be like the most powerful psychic in quotes. Um and if I don't like their energy, if I don't like who they are, like I'm not going to work with them. So people like you because of who you are. People are drawn to work with you because of who you are. Like, yes, you're competent, but more so, people are drawn to your authenticity. At the end of the day, you cannot be who you are just not. Look, when we think like a spiritual healer, like the modern day spiritual healer, maybe we're like still thinking like the person who wears like super bohemian clothing, who has like tattoos, maybe like lives in like Costa Rica. Nothing wrong with that, please. Nothing wrong with that if that is like what you authentically are drawn to do. Do that. But like if you never want to do that, then don't ever do that. So speaking of like spiritual language, like yes, there is to an extent like a lingo to things. But I also sometimes just like see people try to communicate something in like super spiritual language and no one understands it. At the end of the day, it doesn't mean anything. It just sounds complicated and it doesn't make any sense. Like, no one cares. And like, why couldn't you just like say it in the most simple way possible, you know? So definitely don't try to be someone you're not. Don't talk in a way that like you don't even like. So two more things that I want to bring up. One is about shifting beliefs. And here's how I mean. It really depends on like your upbringing, your human experience, but perhaps you may struggle with like fear that come up when it comes to how other people perceive like energy work. For me, witch wounds were definitely something I had to dig into. And it's so interesting because, look, there's a divine timing to things. If you don't feel called to dive into healing your witch wounds, don't force it. I feel like I say this term a lot, but it has a life of its own. Okay. Um, you hear about like witch wounds and healing that a lot in this space. If you don't feel called to dive into it, don't force it. When you're supposed to dive into it, when the healing is supposed to happen, it just will. Like, I'll tell you what, this year, like January or like very end of 2024, I try to watch this witch wound class, like this witch wound training. And I, for the life of me, could not get through it. Either something else would come up and I had to pause it, or I just feel like I was listening, I was watching the class, but nothing was landing. If you ask me what I learned, I could not even tell you. So again, there's a divine timing to things. And when I watched it the other week, it's like, oh my God, I understand now. Like, this makes so much sense. It's all landing. So, look, don't force it. Maybe this is not you, but maybe this is you. Perhaps, okay, so it's very normal that like when you are, building your confidence and competence as an energy healer or psychic, it bothers you how other people in your life perceive it. People you are going to meet down the line, how are they going to think? I know for me, when I meet a new group of people or friends and I introduce myself, is like a little weird. It's like, oh, like, are they gonna think this is weird? Are they gonna think I'm crazy? Are they going to think I'm like a smart human being or just like a very ungrounded woo-woo girl? I think about that. And that is fine. And that is fair if you think about those things too. Is normal and is part of the journey. And it's not really your job to prove to anybody what energy healing really is or what the Akashic Records really is. Like, don't be in the proving energy. No one wants to be in the proving energy. Um, those who are interested will want to know, and those who are not just won't. So I'm a projector in human design, so I always let people come to me with things. Obviously, I share things on podcasts, on the website, on my email list, on my Instagram about like energy healing. And again, like the right people will receive it. The right people will be interested. Okay, so this is also important. Your friends and family, my family super supports my business. Like they love energy healing, they love the messages, they love spirit guides. Some of my friends are like really into it. I'm talking about like friends before the whole thing. Okay, so some friends are definitely into it. Sometimes, we wonder like, oh, do my friends and family care? Like, what do my friends and family think? Or, you might be like talking about your offer, and obviously you're excited about your offer, and your friends from high school or college or like your, different jobs, they're not like buying from you. They're not working with you, and you know what you're doing, and you know that what you're doing is powerful, but it's like, why don't those people respond? And look, this is my take. Your family is here to be your family. They're not here to be your clients. Your friends are supposed to be your friend. You're not here to be their coach or their healer unless they want you to. Unless you feel a genuine call to like step in as that role. Okay, your friends are here to be your friends. Your family is here to be your family. They're not here to be your clients. Can clients become friends? Absolutely, all the time. And like the other way around, yes, that's definitely a possibility. But like, sometimes it's like your friend is just here to be your friend. And your friends just need you to be their friend when they're like going through something, when they need support. It's like, I need a friend. I don't need a coach. I don't need a healer. Okay, I need you to be my friend. But my friend, I had a moment where I realized like, oh, my friends don't understand what energy healing is. They don't understand what Akashic Records are, and it's not their fault. It's not their job to. It's not their job to understand what I'm doing. It's not their job to understand my offers. But I was like, it was kind of like a light bulb moment. My friend was like, yeah, Sandy can pull your tarot cards. And the other friend was like, oh, so it's like fortune telling. And at that point, I had never owned a tarot deck. I had never pulled a tarot card. And the term fortune telling was just like so disturbing and triggering for me at that moment. And I'm like, why does that trigger me so much? Okay, so explore the insecurities and triggers that do come up with this work. So just like growing up in Taiwanese culture, there definitely is like a thing around like seeing a psychic and asking like, oh, am I going to meet someone this year, or am I ever going to get married, or like, should I divorce? And look, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, people go through, challenges and they want answers. But like the culture in like seeing psychics, like the psychics were like, they will give you an answer, like a straight answer, like no or yes, or okay, so this is just like my experience. But growing up in Taiwan, like there is definitely what I perceive to be a more twisted culture in working with psychics. And I had a family member who is like no longer with us, who were in close proximity with those people. And from my perspective now, looking back, I can see that those people, those quote unquote psychics, they weren't necessarily working with, like, their work wasn't of the highest frequency. I don't know how else to put it. Like, they definitely weren't as discerning. The whole thing to me, and I mean no disrespect, but it just feels like a joke. Like, what are we doing here? Like, it just feels rather disempowered, and the whole culture is just not very healthy. It's not, like, sovereign, is not sacred, and I just don't like it. Okay, I would not want to work with those people. I wouldn't want to have anything to do with them. So, all that to say, I realized how sacred this work really is. How, like, profound and life-changing it really is to, be able to access the Akashic Records, or, like, have access to energy healing and, like, channel that energy. So, like, don't undermine it. To an extent, you can, like, apply this to, like, any industry. Like, I know some people think the military is just, like, terrible, and everyone there is, like, crazy. And, I live in San Diego, so there's, like, a lot of military people, and there's some people who are, like, so cool. This whole thing you can apply to any industry, right? And as excel in your energy healing gifts, in your psychic gifts, you're going to have insecurities that come up, and is not good for you, it's not healthy for you to dwell on them. Understand, for many of you, this is your sacred service in the world. Understand those are coming up, those triggers are coming up for you to transmute. So for me, is this whole, like, oh, Sandy is like fortune telling. So for me, it was like, okay, I need to be clearer on my messaging, what I deliver, what this tool really is, what people can expect from a session, what transformation is available for them, etc. Okay, last point I want to make. I know this is probably, like, insert eye roll, so obvious, but you have to understand, to have a clear, strong, and potent channel, you have to take care of your body very, very diligently. Okay? And this is not about, like, being perfect. It's seeing your physical body as the vessel that houses your soul, that allows the channeling to happen, to hold the channel. So it really is a sacred vessel. And the more grounded, vibrant, robust you are physically, the more potent and clear your channel becomes, and the more powerful your work becomes, right? So that is definitely really, really, really important. I cannot stress it enough. And okay, so from my own experience, definitely 8 to 9 hours of sleep is a non-negotiable. Okay, and I personally choose to stay away from alcohol 24 hours before a session. Eating regular meals have become a non-negotiable. So I don't know why I used to do this. I mean, I know why. But I used to, like, intermittent fast on a daily consistency. There was, like, a whole thing about how great it is for you to intermittent fast for a while. Um and it's so crazy. There's so many fads in the health and wellness industry. But then I realized, like, I feel so much better. I have such more sustainable energy. I feel so much grounded if I eat, like, 3 consistent meals a day, like, healthy ones. And so I started doing that. is really important that your system is regulated, your nervous system is regulated, that your blood sugar is regulated. So those are just like really obvious ones. Um, I mean, you know your own body. What makes you feel really robust? What makes you feel grounded? What makes you feel vibrant? What makes you feel energetic? This is not about being perfect, but it's seeing your physical vessel as sacred, and really like if you want to excel in this work, be diligent about taking care of your body. Um, yeah, so for me, it's like eating relatively healthy, making sure I'm getting enough sleep at the right times, making sure I am doing the practices that makes me feel very energetic and optimistic, makes my energy feels good in general. My mood is like lifted. Obviously, it's not always meditation. Now I meditate like every morning, almost every night. Um, I get my sunlight on. I go on walks. That is a big one for me. Getting enough movement, like getting enough steps in general is a big one for me. Cause if I'm like just like sitting all the time, I get like frustrated, I get like anxious, and I get like just like a little grumpy. So movement is big. I definitely need to get a workout in 5 days in a week to feel my best. And when I say I feel my best, is I'm not talking about feeling my absolute best. So the point is taking care of your physical vessel is extremely important, and see yourself as a sacred temple. Okay. This is not a comprehensive list on becoming a competent energy healer, but here are just like some things that came to mind. And I will share more as more things come to mind. So thank you again for listening. And please let me know how you resonated with this episode. I'm sending you so much love. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, and we'll talk again in the next one.